Hi, Aladino.
Hello.
It's good to be back.
Yay, welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, I had a really good, well, let me put it on the tripod and I'll say hello as well. So last week I was not here because I drove up to Canada for my little brother's graduation from university, which was really nice. And while I was up there, I actually went and visited the boatyard that we plan on taking Magic Carpet once our US visas expire. So that was really, really good. I got a lay of the land, as it were, and I think we're really looking forward to the change of scenery. This shed has just been, I mean, we wouldn't have been able to do the refit without it.
Pretty amazing. Yeah.
But it will also be nice to have sort of the resources of a boatyard around us, especially, for example, we're going to install the engine in Canada, which means, you know, the boatyard has a crane and stuff to lift it in without doing sketchy business with hoisting it up in the rafters here and hoping that they're strong enough. So
I'm tempted to get a quote for sandblasting the bottom. I used to do it all the time, but yeah, if I can focus my time on installing hardware inside, that would be sweet. But knowing myself, when we get the quote, I'll be scraping the bottom. But yeah, all those kind of things are interesting.
Yeah, totally. Well, and just the fact that there's going to be skilled labor around, so if we do need help with something, then it's there. So yeah, it's going to be an exciting new chapter coming up in the not too distant future now. But in the meantime, you've done a lot of progress on the cockpit. It was really fun coming home and seeing that, and that's all in the last episode. And now I have to get my head back into the game, back into the refit game, and of course back into the video editing game, so jumping right back into everything. So I think I'm just like varnishing a bunch of stuff this week. What do you think?
That'd be awesome.
Cool. And the chart table, Aladino glued it down. It needs to be faired and filled and all sorts of things there. So I will work on that also. Yay! All right, a whole new week. What are you working on?
Mostly putting down more plywood.
In the cockpit?
Yeah, like I've painted the overhead of the cockpit locker ply. So the goal now is to glue it down. I just want to get as much ply down as I can.
Sounds good. Let's get started.
So if you check out the back of this thing, it's our chart table. That's the plywood.
It does not look like much yet, but don't worry, we are not done. It will look much better by the time we're done.
So the next step is taking a router to actually get the shape of the chart table again.
The Alaska Yellow Cedar that we're using for all of our Galley countertops has a big story behind it. We've told it on the channel before, but a quick recap. It came from one of our patrons' yards. It blew over in a storm. It was this big tree, and he asked if we would like some. We replied that yes, we would love some. He has a friend with a mill, so we went and milled it, and I made a whole episode about milling it. And for the past 2 years, it's now been sitting in this shed drying, and now we're going to use it. So I love that it's got this sort of, it's not farm to table because we're not eating it, but it kind of is. It came from a yard and it now literally is going to be our table. That's kind of exciting. Check this out. This is so freaking beautiful. This is going to be such a highlight. It's going to be one of the first things that you see when you peer down the companionway hatch. This is amazing. This is going to be a multi-day, if not week process until this is actually ready for installation. I'll start with some sanding, and I'm going to be really careful with how I sand. So I'm going to start sanding the yellow part, collect that sawdust, then I'm going to sand the red part, collect that sawdust, and then I'm going to mix that with some epoxy to fill in any grooves and gaps. Okay.
Enjoy.
Let's get going.
Love, love, love me 'cause we know it's true. And I love you even if you're feeling blue. as the night finds the morning and the sun finds the moon. Love will find a way to say I do. Say I do, 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 as the night finds the morning and the sun finds the moon. Love will find a way to say I do. Lay your blanket on the lawn, picnic basket on your arm. I'll win you over with my charm. This I know, or at least I hope.
New week, but same tasks. What else is new? Don't get me wrong, I'm super excited though to put down as much plywood decking as possible. It's gonna be the same procedure like last week when I glued the quarter berth side.
Love will find a way to say I do. Love will find a way to say I do. Love will find a way to say I do.
Good morning! So yesterday I didn't film it, but I just put a second coat of epoxy on these drawers. These are the drawers that came with the boat, that they were in the head. They've never been our favorite drawers, but we're like, we're gonna use them, and they were uncoated plywood, so just put a protective layer on them. But I want to show you the chart table, which is right over here. So this is what it looks like now. It's gotta look worse before it looks better. But I filled in all of the little gaps between the planks with the correct colored sawdust. So today I'm gonna sand this all down. Now I also glued in
That looks pretty artistic, honestly. I like it.
Paladino. No. I also glued in some knots. So let me show you that. I'm gonna clear the table. So yes, you can see that some of the knots I glued in are standing quite proud, but I do think that, you know, once all this mess is cleared up and the knots are level, I think it will look quite natural. All right, let's get started. I do really look forward to a time in my life when I never have to sand anything again, but I can still appreciate the beauty of erasing these jagged lines and watching the smooth tabletop appear underneath. All right, it's done. I'm so happy with how this has turned out so far. So I went over it with 3 different grits, or actually 4 in total, because before I filled the seams yesterday, I went over it with 80 grit just to make it all somewhat level because the planks weren't all aligned. Then I filled the seams, and then today I went over it first with 120 grit, and then 150, and then 220 actually. We are ready to epoxy. I'm gonna tape the edges, and I'm really excited because this first coat is going to completely change how this looks, and it's really gonna make that grain pop. I cannot wait. So the plan is to do 1 or 2 coats of the regular Total Boat high performance epoxy that we always use, and that will seal up the wood. And then I'm going to try a new to me product, which is Total Boat's tabletop epoxy, and that's going to provide a thick and clear finish, so that will prevent the wood getting dented or anything in the future. And then over that, there's going to be several layers of varnish for UV protection, and lastly, some Epifanis rubbed effect varnish for the mattifying effect. However, none of those coats will be as transformative as this first one. It's incredible watching the wood suddenly burst with color under the clear coat of epoxy. I'm super happy. This is the chart table. I think it turned out really well. I mean, it's obviously very far from done. This is one coat of epoxy, so there's still lots to do, but it really gives you an idea of what the finished thing is going to look like.
Meanwhile, back on the boat, more things are happening.
Wow, and look at this. Up here, we have a cockpit.
To have more deck on.
Amazing.
Keep in mind it is only the first layer, but this is the layer that requires more cleanup. So much cleanup. Basically, every time I apply a little more pressure, I have to run down below to catch all the drips and clean it up, and then add more screws, go down, clean it up, and back and forth. Nice in here, doesn't it?
It really does.
This is our master cabin, our master aft cabin.
Yeah.
People thought we won't have an aft cabin. This is the captain's quarters.
Oh, great. Well, yeah, feel free if you like.
Turned out great.
It looks beautiful, Aladino. As always, it's amazing.
That's not me, ladies and gentlemen. That's Epiphanes paint.
I think it has something to do with you as well.
All right. Still have to make 2 blocks back here. Those are gonna be relatively long ones. Close to the original though. This funky piece of wood here, that's one of the originals. I have a beautiful piece of Alaska yellow cedar down below, which is a little bit unfortunate. Not unfortunate, I mean this is what it's for, but I would have loved to make a bowsprit out of it after seeing it, after receiving it, because we ordered it over the phone. And it's 10 foot long and it's the correct width, and I would need to stack 3 slices though, and they are pricey. I ordered it for cleats and blocking and that stuff, so that's what I'm gonna use it for.
Te quiero decir, te elijo a ti, si me dan a elegir, te elijo a ti, para poder vivir, te elijo a ti, es lo que me hace sentir, te elijo a ti.
It's a whirlwind of activity here. We did the Patreon update, and then Maya took the camera inside to import it and edit it and upload it. Meanwhile though, the tornado keeps spinning in here. The blocks are made. I also inserted a little block at the very end. It was an awkward gap, and since the blocking is to prevent movement, I thought let's stick something in there too. So I recycled our Samson post, which we're not going to use, and it is getting pretty late, but I thought why not best wind down a full day of activity with some meditative painting. And that is always nice and satisfying to look at afterwards. And it is getting late, but we kind of have a greenhouse effect in this shed. It stays cooler for longer, but once it starts warming up, then it gets hot, and then it stays hot for longer. So I'm not too worried. And it can't always be ideal conditions, but it's pretty good. It feels warm. Sun is up, days are long, it's gonna be good.
Lo que me hace sentir, te elijo a ti. Te quiero, te quiero, te quiero, te quiero, te quiero.
In reality, getting the cockpit from this to this hasn't actually taken that much time. It has just taken a lot of concentrated effort, but I'm sure that we can get it done before moving the boat to Canada.
Te quiero decir, te elijo a ti, si me dan a elegir, te elijo a ti, para poder vivir, te elijo a ti, es lo que me hace sentir, te elijo a ti, te elijo a ti, te elijo a ti, te elijo a ti, te elijo a ti.
I also started to glue down some more Alaska yellow cedar on top of the counters for the galley. We are going to do all the countertops with this Alaska yellow cedar.
All right, so here of course is the chart table where we're going to put our beautiful new countertop. This of course is the chart table seat. And Aladino is doing this sort of teak paneling over here. So this looks really nice. This is very like Hans Christian boat style. And we have the countertops. So this is, I mean, it's gonna match the chart table. You can see we've got this beautiful red sort of heartwood look going on again. This piece is going to get trimmed off, so there won't be red here. Yeah, I'm really excited.
I should get back to doing the fridge. That was my initial idea.
Yeah, it's crazy how these things keep spiraling. Because you are planning on fiberglassing the fridge, and then once that's done, then we can apply the wooden Alaska Yellow Cedar countertops to the fridge area as well, so it's all going to match.
Totally. Yay.
Yay. And I have sanded this teak trim, which I'm going to varnish pretty soon here.
Algo en mí cambió al oír tu voz. Algo en mí despertó que estaba dormido. Algo en mí revivió. Pensé que lo había perdido. Contigo se abrió mi corazón.
We are teak rich, baby.
Teak rich. Well, that's all due thanks to Brock.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, thanks again. It is an absolute treat to go to my corner there where I have the boxes and rummage around and pick something, and there is always something fitting. Teak is regarded as the king of hardwoods, especially for the marine environment. It doesn't require a finish or protection, it is impervious to rot, it is super hard, and it looks good. Should I get to the fridge? Kind of been full steam on all other projects.
I know there's so many. Well, you know what I would love is if you could router the edge of the counter here, and then I can start sanding it and getting ready for that.
The outside will be easy,
Yeah.
but the inside, it has that lip, which
Yeah.
doesn't extend all the way down, so I'll have to custom fiddle about with it.
Okay. Could you do that today? Well, then I've got a job that I can follow up on.
Mi alma cerrada frente a un frío invierno.
Not quite done yet, but a lot closer.
It looks beautiful.
I'll have to remove a bit here for the sink.
Sentí vibrar.
Okay.
Alright, we got it with one little hiccup, but that's okay. The stainless steel will hide it.
Yeah, the router dug in a little there, hey? But that's
Yeah.
okay, the lip of the sink
Because I
will
couldn't use a
cover that.
bearing here, and yeah. I mean, the guide should have gone on this side, but where should I mount it? On thin air?
It looks beautiful. All right, well, I'm going to get started with sanding it.
Cool. Overall, I very much enjoy getting to final touches. But of course, feeling the time pressure is what actually wants me to be proceeding on some of the big ticket items. So I couldn't quite enjoy it as much because I have the other things in my mind. But I mean, of course, it is really nice to get all of that visual gratification on the details. While I was working in the galley, I also glassed the countertop onto the perimeter of the fridge opening. I did this to seal everything up. That's where the lid is going to go. So there's going to be a gasket. We want it all to be waterproof and unify it.
So overall, it was a pretty good homecoming. The Cockpit has seen some serious progress, and yeah, just the moment you get paint on anything, it starts to look more like a finished product rather than a big construction site. So I'm really happy to see that. The Galley has also seen big progress, and again, I feel like the countertops are really that item that transform it from construction into a nearly finished project. It's not nearly finished, don't get me wrong, but it's starting to look more, I guess, like an actual functional galley instead of just this open space that it's hard to even tell what its purpose is. So I'm really pleased, and the work will just continue. It's going to be a lot of varnishing, a lot of finishing going on over the next few weeks as we race towards the end of our US visas and the beginning of a brand new chapter for us and this boat in a Canadian boatyard. So that'll be interesting. But it is crazy looking around now, and I remember when we came back here just a few months ago, the Galley was a disaster. I mean, it was all ripped apart. We had discovered all this mold in the walls. We had ripped the balsa out, and one of the first things that we did upon coming back was, we put new foam insulation in the walls, but the entire galley was not there. It was just an empty shell. And I mean, to look how far that we've come in only a few months, it's pretty amazing. I mean, I do feel the toll. It has been a tough few months as we really just pushed and pushed. And, we've really been living for the future for a little while now, and I'm excited for, a moment to maybe slow down and enjoy the present a little more. I think that's really important in life. With that said, sometimes you do just need to push to the future, and you need to just sacrifice your present for a little bit. And that's kind of what we've been doing. I think it will be worth it in the end. But that can't go on forever, and the ending is slowly coming into sight, because whether we like it or not, whether we're ready for it or not, the end of the visa is coming, and we're gonna have to move on. So a huge thank you for being here with us on this whole journey. It's been a huge journey. It's been a stressful journey. It's been a fun journey. It's been a rewarding journey. It's been a difficult journey, and you've been here with us all the way, and it's certainly not over yet. So every Friday, tune back in and see what we've been up to. If you enjoyed the episode, please do leave us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, write what you thought in the comments. An extra big thank you to our patrons for making this all possible. In exchange for your support on Patreon, we post real-time updates every Tuesday or Wednesday, every week at least. And we do a walkthrough of the boat, let you know what's happening in real time, discuss real-time dilemmas and decisions. An extra big thank you to the folks whose names are now appearing on screen for always going the extra mile to make sure that Magic Carpet keeps being produced, and we will see you all next Friday.